Let's take a minute and close our eyes and consider you were given a task to design a garden, your dream garden. What would you include? What kind of trees might you consider? What about some grasses or different types of flowers? What are your favorites? Would you consider adding a brook that would cut through your garden? Can you see it, your beautiful garden, the tall trees providing shade, the lush grasses blowing in the wind? Do you see the butterflies and the birds? What about the frogs and the fish living in that brook and all of the beautiful colors? You can open your eyes now. Wasn't it stunning? Now, who imagined their garden first as a big plot of land covered in rocks and weeds? I'm going to guess no one. But anyone who's ever tended a garden will tell you that it takes a substantial amount of planning and editing and designing before you even begin to start planting it. In fact, the most fruitful of gardens have to spend a lot of time and effort in the development phase. What are you going to plant where? What trees will go in the right parts of the garden in order to provide optimal growth? What about the flowers? Will they need flower beds? And how deep will that brook need to be dug out? Would the fence that surrounds those plots of land be enough protection? Would you plant one seed or a handful of seeds? Would that brook provide enough water for both the organisms as well as water for the garden itself? After considering all these questions, you would begin planning and more planning. You would meet with experts who know about gardening. You would ask them all the questions that you have in order to provide the best garden and the best opportunities. Once a design was solidified, you'd start tilling the ground. You would start building the flower beds and putting in a hydration system. And just a few weeks after planting, those stems would start popping through the soil. And you would notice that there might be some dead ones. And so you'd have to take those ones away in addition to the weeds and begin to do some pruning. Fertilizer would be added to the soil. Maybe some natural insect repellent would be sprayed. And a daily trek to your garden would become part of your routine because it would fill you with such pride as you saw all as it was being transformed. Weeks, months, and perhaps years later, the fruits of your labor would literally be in full bloom. Sunflowers and hydrangea and roses and tulips and lily of the valley would color every corner of your garden. The trees you had planted would be providing shade. The beautiful grasses would provide little comfort as you walk barefoot through the garden. The brook would now include those fish and frogs and many other organisms. Now, when you first considered your garden, did you consider any of the setbacks? Any problems that you might have experienced along the way? Did you consider that there might be a flood or even a drought? Or maybe even the next door neighbor's animal came over and would make a meal out of half of your garden? Probably not. So let's consider this one more time. Let's close our eyes and consider our garden, but this time in time lapse. As the sun rises and falls, that blank plot of land slowly being tilled and sprouts coming and the trees blooming and the weather passing and time going on. Can you see your garden now? Can you see the rewards and the sights and the sounds and the smells that literally surround you? Can you see though all of that you had to overtake and overtook to get to this point, to see everything grow so beautifully? Think about it. Consider all the effort it took for you to build this garden. It didn't happen immediately. It took planning, it took effort, and it took some challenges, but you, the gardener, adjusted and made plans to make sure that your garden would come to fruition. Because some of the seeds didn't sprout and some of the trees might have died and some things might have changed in the process, but you adjusted, you adapted, and now you're sitting in your beautiful, magnificent garden. Just like a seed needs optimal surroundings for growth, so does your dream. And in order for a dream to survive, it requires a substantial amount of determination. And so that ultimately that seed, your dream, will come to fruition. Seeds contain all that are needed in order to survive. They have a tough outer coat and they have nutrients to keep that sprout kind of in this hibernation phase. But what they don't have is an optimal surrounding, that nurturing, that cultivating, that care that it takes in order to support the growth from seed to flower. Like seeds, your dreams too require an optimal environment. They need determination, they need dedication, they need observation, and they need choice to create the best optimal surroundings in order for your dreams to have a best chance to survive. And it's those choices that either make the environment fruitful or maybe not so much. You have to be determined and observant enough as the gardener to adapt as needed, to change the environment as necessary in order to make sure your dreams have that best chance of surviving, giving it all that it can become so that you too will see those dreams come to reality. It requires a substantial amount of perseverance and a substantial amount of effort. And what's important to remember, though, is that it's the not necessarily sheer determination that's going to ensure success the first time. Because remember, in that time-lapse video, your rising and falling of the sun didn't include just perfection. It also included some weeds and some flooding and maybe some drought and that, pesky next door neighbor coming over to make a meal out of your garden. But it required you to just keep looking and willing it and working towards it. And you, most importantly, the gardener, kept growing despite the setbacks. And that's the best part and the biggest part about science itself, because what I love the most about science, it's that its failure is often recognized and oftentimes revered. Because if you think of Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Edison and Edward Jenner, they had dreams, but as they were working towards creating or making their inventions, they had some setbacks, and they had to be willing to keep persevering in order to see their dreams come true. And with their determination and their observations and choices, they were able to be successful. And without them, we wouldn't have had the telephone, the light bulb, or even the smallpox vaccine. Determination, perseverance, and our willingness to rise and fall help us find success. Now, the timing in which we see that success might take longer for some than others. Even though our dreams might be similar, our determination influences our timeline, okay? And that's what's exciting about dreaming. Arizona Cardinal J.J. Watt's motto is to dream big and work hard. And when you think about that, it's pretty profound, because if you dream big, you're going to work hard and you're going to see success. And then you're going to keep dreaming and keep working hard and continue to see success. And so you'll want to continue that process over and over and over again. And it's that ongoing process that leads us to the ultimate point of why dreaming and determination and observing and choice are so paramount to everything, and that's our development. To develop means to grow. Remember at the start of this talk when we were considering our garden, no doubt many, if not all of us, imagined that fully grown, beautifully manicured garden. But we forget the time it took to get from the seed to the flower. And development is that time. It's the product of our effort. It's the nurturing of the seed, just like it's the nurturing of the dream. It's in the result of all of our efforts, our pruning, our editing, our work, our product, our replanting, where we learn from all of it. Every step we take to give our seeds the best environment gives us an opportunity for them to potentially and possibly and hopefully bloom. Your reflection and adjustment and adjusting through your struggles helps you develop as an individual and allows your dreams to have the best chance to becoming realities. Too often, as we see the flower die, we forget that we can plant another one. Or if we begin to see those flowers wither, that we can move them to a different part of the garden or add some water to them, or perhaps give them some shade. We forget that we can take our struggles and make them into our strengths. Put another way, we see a low test score, but we don't remember all the learning we did up to that point. We see the failed or the lost match, but we didn't see how our team rallied in those last few minutes. We, talk about or consider the one measure of music we didn't play well, but we forget to mention the 99 that we did and we played perfectly. So long as there's growth, there's development. And that's paramount to achieving our dreams. Development is a process and it takes time. In order to work to make your dreams come true, your determination has to push you through your struggles and to remember the beautiful garden you have planned. What ultimately do you want to see? When you're able to push through, your development is going to be substantial. You're going to become resilient. You're going to become artistic. You're going to become inquisitive. You're going to become philanthropic. Whatever you focus on developing, you will become. Listen to that again. Whatever you focus on developing, you will become. So develop greatness. Develop ideas and ideals. Be challenged and challenge others. The last component of cultivating a garden of your dreams is your willingness to develop. If you are more willing to develop, you're more willing to dream and you're more determined to make those dreams come to reality. You're more determined to help others achieve their dreams as well. So what's the best environment for you in order to make sure that this potentially and hopefully will happen? And that's to surround yourself with fellow dreamers. Surround yourself with people who are on the same path and who are chasing their dreams just like you. Surround yourself with people who are going to celebrate you and celebrate your successes and who are going to challenge you to think bigger and who will help you chase your dreams. Find people who are going to energize you and who are going to support you when your dreams change. Dreams, determination, and development. Where you find one, you will find the other. And when you feel overwhelmed, just like you might be when you're tending your garden and maybe even a little impatient with the progress or lack thereof, know that they're within you. Dreams, determination, and development, they're within you, and they're going to help you guide them to fruition. Bell, Edison, and Jenner all knew what we all have all experienced at some point. In fact, I think it would be safe to say they dreamed and didn't quite know what to do and how to make those dreams come true. But you have to remember, you didn't stand at 9 months, walk across the room. You had to fall down. You didn't write your name on day one. You had to practice. You may not have known advanced biology immediately. It took time. You had to have applied to your dream job and your dream internship. Maybe they didn't work the first time, so you had to reapply. Your journey is a process. Remember, the seed doesn't bloom on the first day it's planted. You have to dare to dream big. You have to be determined throughout the process and embrace the development along the way. Because whether your garden is a blank slate or starting to sprout, you have to be determined to keep planting. Because as the gardener, you have everything within you to make sure your dreams become realities. It's going to take time, but it's going to be worth it. And, learn through the process, embrace the process, value the process. There is so much to learn along the way. There's so much to appreciate as you go from seeds to success. Thank you.